In Chicago, the name of the game is Mame, and the name of the lady is Lucy.
Thank you.
Lucy, I don't think I've ever been in a theater where the movie was interrupted 6 times by spontaneous applause. And
Really?
last night I was lucky enough to be at the Chicago premiere of Mame, and that happened.
I wish I'd been there.
You are a beautiful lady and gave such a brilliant performance.
Thank you.
Were there any questions in your mind about doing Mame? Or did anyone have any question? This role seems to me to have been made for you.
I don't know about whether it was for me or not. I don't know about any questions like that, but there was a question in my mind whether I should make it for this year's market. And we're off to such a good start.
Oh, wow. I think
we're all right.
the first 4 days in New York grossed something like $186,000, and that's a record
I'm very grateful.
for any movie.
I'm very grateful.
Did you have any trouble in the film separating Lucy, as we all know you, from Mame?
Not really. There are some scenes in Maine that are sort of Lucy-ish, and I pulled them down a little, and the director had me pull them up a little, and we compromised. I was a little afraid that people would think I was doing Lucy-isms that weren't in there, but they've always been in there.
They have been there.
Yeah,
In
a lot of people don't know that. But I held back a little purposely, but I was encouraged, and I now feel that they were right. I could have gone a little bit more.
Well, I think for the first few seconds, even I had a little bit of trouble separating you from the Lucy that I have known. But as the movie progressed, you were the most believable actress.
Thank
Just
you.
a brilliant performance. Even your singing. Now, let's talk a minute about your singing, which I understand you had a few qualms about doing on your own. No, you mustn't do that. It would not have been believable. It wouldn't, as real a person as you are, it would have gone sort of sour and phony without your very own voice.
That's why we didn't want to take a chance with it. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's good. It matches the speaking voice anyway.
And never having sung
with Jerry Herman lyrics, you don't have to really sing. Just have them understand what that wonderful man is saying. So that's what I went on. And a lot of encouragement from Fred Werner and people that were absolutely marvelous about it. They, Mr. Fryer, Mr. Cresson, the producers insisted. Jerry Herman insisted that I do it. I cried. I carried on. I did everything. I begged them to, give me some help. And they said, don't worry about it. Just do it. And
they were right. They were absolutely right, because it comes off so real, so good.
Thank you.
So pro.
Thank you.
Women's Wear Daily has stated that the word Lucy is the most complex 4-letter word in the English language.
They have?
What
does that mean?
I don't know. I read the article and I still don't know. But what I've come up with is what I think the word Lucy is, the 4-letter word Lucy to me, and I think to everybody else who's ever seen you, that 4-letter word is love. I have never seen anyone so loved in my entire life. My boys are in love with you. Everybody of every age that I know are in love with you.
What a nice thing to say. I've never had that said before, and I forgot that Lucy was a 4-letter word.
Lucy is a 4-letter word, and I like the idea of Lucy being associated with love, especially because I am a concerned parent, and I know that it's well known that you are a very concerned parent. May we talk about the children for a minute?
Love to. Very proud of my children, and they're going great guns these days, and they've gone through their ups and downs. They're learning. They've gone through all the phases like all the other kids. I think they've even had a tougher load on their shoulders than children whose parents aren't so well known, but they've learned to live with it, and I love their vitality and their respect for their bodies and their good health and their curiosity about their job and the way they've attacked their lives, at this point.
I read one thing I thought was very interesting, that both your children had said that you were very strict, and you had commented that as a parent, the most, maybe the worst thing you had done was to be too lenient. So it's an opposite opinion there.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was a surprise to me, too, when I read it.
I think I have to mention that this lady has had a very successful marriage and a happy marriage for 11 years. Could you give us any tips on that?
Pick the right man.
I think you did that, because last night when you entered the wonderful party after the premiere, there's such a devotion between the two of you that shows. He's a very protective man, Mr. Gary Morton, and it shows. You pick up the vibrations around these people.
I like to have someone I can lean on in many ways, and I give the opposite impression, I know, but I'm a very dependent lady.
I don't think you give that impression at all.
Perhaps
around
not
him,
to you.
at least.
Well.
At least last night, you know, it was a very beautiful thing to watch how he is most protective of you, and you are leaning on him. So I think that's important. Any more advice except having the right man?
Well, I try not to make the same mistake twice, which a lot of people do. You know, some of them make it 5, 6 times, the same mistake.
Right.
They kind of just have to do the same wrong thing, and I didn't want to do that. Gary had been married before, and he felt the same way. And we didn't rush into marriage. We went together for over a year, and we weren't just rushing headlong into anything. We weren't even sure we wanted to get married. But my mother and my friends saw him and said, I don't know what you're waiting for. This guy is really something.
This is a keeper.
He really is an unusual man. But the great thing about Gary is that he is his own man, and he always has been. And at no time has he ever had any problem with Mr. Ball. Now, this is never, very seldom, the gentleman's fault. Not Gary's, but I mean anyone in that position. It's not their fault. It really isn't. It's thoughtlessness on someone else's part. However, it just hasn't happened with Gary, and I'm glad. And I love the things that Gary does in moderation. And I also like the fact that I haven't tried to change some other things that are not perhaps in moderation. For instance, he's a golf nut. Forget it. He hates the cold weather. He won't go up to Colorado, you know, or the ski bit and the cold weather and the snow. He won't do that. He loves Palm Springs. So we split once in a while. He has his vacation. I have mine. And but everything works out fine.
I read in an article, you're mentioning the ski thing, that one of the 2 arguments you've ever had in your life was about skiing, or when you were in the cold and he wanted to leave or something.
Right, I had 5 days off. I really needed to rest. Beautiful weather, sensational place we had, and he wanted to go home. I didn't speak to him for 3 days.
But 2 arguments in 11 years, was that correct in that article?
Oh, we've had a few more since then. I don't know when you read the article.
11 years ago.
But we don't have, I can't even remember what the arguments were about. That one we remember because we've mentioned it several times. But usually it's because I've let too many of my friends' dogs visit in the backyard and kept them over the weekend. We have a big argument about that. It looks like a kennel in our backyard most of the time. We have a beautiful backyard. It's very easy for people, especially my children and their friends, to say, could we leave our dog over the weekend? One weekend we had 9. It was a little much. He had a right to complain. But he is a pretty great guy. And, oh, one thing that I wish I could accommodate him on. Oh, I just hit the mic. I just hit the mic and stabbed myself. I wish I could be more chic.
Chic?
Yes,
Beautiful.
yes. He loves clothes. He's a clothes buff as well as a golf buff. And he could open up a store, his dressing room. He likes clothes. Look, that's better than booze, broads, and gambling, right? So, anyway, I wish I could be more chic.
Well, you started as a model. You
that's one of the
maintain your figure.
No,
I don't understand.
No, I'm not talking about figure. He would love to have me dress up more, and I have the clothes. They hang in my closet, and I always decide to wear something comfortable and easy.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think for his sake, I should be much more chic, but I just can't get with it.
Lucy, you've done everything, and you've been
What do you mean to
successful.
that?
Now, wait a minute. Let's talk about that. You've been successful in every area in the entertainment field, on stage, movies, and certainly your television. Now, what? You're not going to have your regular show anymore. The Lucy show is not
still
going
with
to be
CBS. I'm planning some specials, and I'm out. I own one thing at a time. Right now I'm out promoting MAME, and I'm not ready with any answers about the other. No, I'm ready to think. We are thinking, but I just have no answers because it's only a week and a half since CBS said, why don't you do this? Because I have 6 years product yet, you see, that you haven't seen.
I think the most important thing that I can ask you now in closing is about something I read in an article as to your association with Norman Vincent Peale, and I believe you met him when you were in the throes of divorce with your first marriage, and You said something about I couldn't live without the power of positive thinking, and that became your way of life at that time.
Well, Dr. Peel taught me a lot. First of all, that I must learn to accept the good things gracefully instead of just always looking at and accepting the bad things. That's something we all have to learn. It's much more difficult, too. It is a sin, he taught me, to just always blame yourself for everything. It's just as much of a sin as being as thinking that you're the most wonderful thing in the world. It's just as wrong to go around thinking that you're wrong and you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders when it isn't true, and that you must correct everything and everyone, because it is not your business. He said, get your own life in order, and everything else will fall in place. He said, learn to do the right thing for yourself first and foremost and always, and everything else will find its place. And it was the most wonderful thing. When I finally understood it, it goes way down to simple, fundamental, everyday living. Of course, that's the great thing about Dr. Peel, is that his religion, his sermons, you can use in your everyday life. That's why I love him so much. As a matter of fact, Gary and I were married by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale in New York. However, the thing that he finally got through to me was one sentence. He said, use this, and use it until you learn the meaning of it. It's very fundamental, and it starts like it's a childish thing. Put a sign up so that you see it first thing in the morning. Is this good for Lucy? Beautiful. And I did it. And I had to learn that it meant tiny little things. A conversation, a walk. Don't drive too fast. Don't drink too much. Don't do this. Don't go and tell that person off. Don't do anything that's wrong for me.
But a daily thing. It must be daily.
Daily. It's hourly.
Exactly,
it's right now.
Exactly.
Don't sit here right now if it's wrong for me.
That's right. I love it here. I'm sitting here. I hope it's right for you. And we love you and thank you so very much, Lucy.
Thank you.